Hey. Everybody's ready for the hey, and a hey. A hey, and a ho, ho. Hey, everybody. This is Dan coming to you, well, alive from Japan. Not barely just yet. There's a couple more hours left in the day. It's not quite midnight just yet. So I guess, I'm still in the coal mine. Anywho, this is the mainstream. Now, you know why? You know why is the mainstream? Not only because it's called the mainstream, not only because you just have to take a shot every single time I say mainstream, okay? But there really is a reason for this, because we are always talking about how mainstream adoption, another one. Anyway, the M word, okay, happens in the big world, right? In like outside of our Web3 bubble, right? How does it all happen? What does it look like? So every week we have professionals, and once in a while we have Brian with us just to mix things up, to talk about this thing. Now, this week we have you know what? We have somebody special yet again. He's special. Everybody's special that comes to the mainstream. Okay, his name is Sheldon Hunt, and he does some things on the blockchain for some people, and maybe he can help us, tell our audience what it is that you do, Sheldon. You work for that Ermurgo place, right? The Ermurgo,
yeah.
As they say in Japanese, Ermurgo. I can never get it. It's like some say Ermurgo, some say Ermurgo, and so you work for the Ermurgo, which is, I guess, a Latin word for, pump my bags, bro. So welcome to the mainstream.
Good to be here. Dan. Thank you very much, good sir. And Brian, thank you very much as well. Great and honored to be here on this fine show, this fine day.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian. Thanks for just, thanks for all the blurriness. Anyway. All right. Well, we got some good stuff. All right. We finally caught up to one of you Ermurgo people. All right. I don't know what you guys been doing. All right. You've been hiding and drinking cocktails on the beach and riding your yachts and stuff. Right. So Sheldon, tell us a little bit about what you do at Ermurgo besides, drinking cocktails and yachts and Lambos.
Yes, well, all of those things are true. So setting the record straight, yeah, mostly a yachts and Lambos type of guy. But when I'm not doing that, I am the head of the Cardano ecosystem with Ermurgo, and I'm still fairly fresh in the role. So you'll have to, be a little bit gentle with me here today, because I've been with Ermurgo a whole month now. Yeah, actually like a month as of on Monday. So it's going by quick, but glorious times. But Dan, you and I, we've met many times now.
Yeah, I know you. You
might have shown me around.
It's not like the first time I see that gorgeous beard of yours. Okay,
oh, well.
It's like, I mean, you look like you're in the logging industry. I mean, look at all that beautiful forest behind you. You look like you're about to put on some.
2 weeks in a row, we've had some forest folks out with us.
Yeah, it's like where you guys get your guests. Well, have you ever got mushroom picking? Well, we went the mainstream guest picking, and look who we got this week. Yeah, so okay. So you do marketing at Ermurgo.
More like, it's kind of like more business development more than anything now. Partnerships, outreach. It's kind of complicated because there's a lot in there. There's a bit of marketing too.
Always is.
You know,
It always is complicated. Now, let's maybe uncomplicate things, right? So, okay, let's go to, say, business development, because look, in this space, and this is actually something that is like, and I know there's going to be, if there's some people watching that are always talking about this, you're going to be like, oh, look, Danny doesn't care about this stuff. Like, I do care about marketing, but marketing is not like you buy out a whole bunch of ads on freaking CNN and say, hey, buy ADA. And everybody's like, oh, wait a second. Yeah. Well, thanks, CNN, for telling me to get this stuff. I'll jump right in and spend $1 million and do whatever. People don't understand that marketing is business development. Like, that's literally what, like, in these kinds of ecosystems, if you want to have mass adoption, business development is one of your biggest marketing tools. It really is. And one of the biggest issues that a lot of ecosystems have, and ours as well, but not as much, the Cardano is getting more and more kind of like has that hat on. You have to go out and you have to do business with the stuff, right? You can't just sit here and like pat each other on the shoulders, like, yo, bro, like awesome code, man, awesome code. It's like, oh man, it's like all this research shit, top notch. Oh yeah, research papers, man, collect them all. Got to collect them all. You can't, like, it's good. It's a good foundation, but you have to do business with it. So tell us about doing Cardano business.
Yes, yeah. Well, you are spot on that. Yeah, for so long, like, and it's I could dare say it's like a feature of this industry, right? Which is so tech heavy with all like developers. There's not really much of like a mind for kind of getting out there and like shaking the hands of bankers or accountants or anybody else to kind of like do some of the awkward show and dance of like pushing adoption. Sometimes these are people you don't actually even want to partner with. The whole idea with crypto was to bury these people. So we do have a bit of an awkward dance. Like, culturally, don't want to deal with it. Some of these people we see as adversaries, but it is what it is. We live in a real big, complicated world. And so sometimes you got to, suck it up and just deal with the reality of things. And so we got to go where the business is, where people are. And so, yeah, for like Ermurgo,
in the words of Dick Cheney, we're gonna have to deal with some unsavory characters.
Yes, there are some unsavory characters. But yeah, so I'm avoiding the unsavory characters for the most part, and I think I've been doing a pretty good job of that. But yeah, looking around and having partnerships be struck that are real and tangible for Cardano, we want to like take this whole industry forward. And so, so next week I'll be heading to London for Hedge Week and talk about real world tokenization, right? This is something that obviously you guys know quite a lot about. And so
we do know some things,
some things.
Shocking, right? Yeah, it's like we know a couple of things about it. It's like there's like they're called RWAs, which means really weird
assets. Really weird asset. That's it.
I'm sorry. I thought it was real weird Allentowners from Pennsylvania. But anyway, we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. Okay, we got Pittsburgh in the house. We're not gonna go there. Anyway. So okay. So let's kind of zero in this a little bit, right? So because myself and Zengate has always been a huge proponent of abstraction. Now, that doesn't mean exclusion, because some people are like, oh, well, wait a second. Why don't they understand about the tech? Why don't they understand about, ZK proofs and security and stuff like that? And I always say, okay, how many people that use the Visa card know how the security protocol works on the Visa network? Do you want them to know? Do you expect them to know? It's like, no. And then do they care? Not really. I just don't want to get my shit stolen. That's about it. So let's talk about this, right? Let's talk about specifics, right? So, and this is again about the mainstream up there, right? Over here, over there, right? That thing that's right there. Now, what are they talking about too, right? So you go outside of our bubble, right? And you're talking to the adults, right? You're talking to those guys and you finally got their ear. It's like, yeah, man, we got crypto, we got NFTs, and we got like monkey pictures and stuff. Like, you want to buy, it's like, ooh, monkey pictures. Fascinating. where does the conversation go from there? I mean, seriously though, like who's interested? Like, who's interested in real world adoption? Like, really taking this and doing business with it?
Well, so there are actually quite a lot of companies. And so this is like a funny thing that I see right now, where there is like actually huge disconnect between kind of like your regular consumers, like your mom and your pops, just like your regular retail buyers, and then kind of like major corporate entities, and certainly like a lot of like traditional finance. So it's funny that traditional finance is a little bit sneaky about it, but they are very much involved in crypto. And even some of these major companies, they're looking ahead 5, 10, 15, 20 years. There's an understanding that like blockchain is going to play an undeniable role in their business model. And they're still trying to figure out how it's going to fit, what's going to be like the right kind of setup and this and that. And so a lot of them are hedging their bets. They don't want to kind of go in all on one or another thing. So if you ever see any chain talking about like, oh yes, we've locked in this exclusive like lifetime partnership with Disney, there's a good chance it's a whole kind of bullshit, if I'm being honest with you. Because everybody, they're just trying to do some fishing. They're grabbing some information. They're kind of getting an assessment of how this tech is going to be deployed and how it will evolve in the future. But one thing that is very interesting that we see quite a bit right now, at least like from kind of the Ermurgo side and Cardano, is that there's an enormous strength in Cardano. The fact that we've been battle tested for 7 years, no shutdowns, no outages, incredibly decentralized. These are things that are actually quite strong. These are our kind of leading marketing kind of pitches, and it actually finds a very welcome audience with traditional finance. There's a lot of people in London, New York, Tokyo who are very keen on knowing that this is a system that can't be hacked. There's no back doors. There's nothing shady here. It's all fairly legit. And so this is like perhaps something they could build on. And even knowing that, all right, it's kind of moved a little bit away from it now, but having like Haskell previously kind of like be like the core of the coding. Not everybody can do it, but it is the code you'd want to write in if you want to send a rocket ship to Mars. Right. And so it's the stuff that works. It's the serious thing. And so there actually are some serious people who are taking a serious look at Cardano, and it's actually quite heartwarming. So I think we're going to be quite set, but it is a bit of it's a long-term game. A lot of these guys don't go and throw their billions around willy-nilly. And so, but it'll get there. I'm actually incredibly optimistic. So.
Sorry, I was using my telepathic stuff. Anyway. Now that I'm gonna use my vocal cords for all you plebs. Anyway, one of the things that I was actually really kind of pushing back in the day, right? So, hey, I used to do business development for Cardano too, but back in like 2018 and stuff, 2019, I mean 2017 too, when just when we launched. Anyway, one of the things that we were talking about is zero fault tolerance, right? Zero fault tolerance is basically the way you build software for like spaceships, right? Because you can't have 70% of your transactions fail on a spaceship because a bunch of people are gonna die. It's space and stuff. So you have a special protocol for zero fault tolerance. You have you basically have virtually no tolerance for failure, and that's how you test this hardware and software. And essentially, that's what Haskell is kind of engineered for, right? So zero fault tolerance system. Now, personally, is it a pain in the ass? Yes, it is. Like I'm a developer, and Haskell gives me a giant headache. I love Scala. Scala is great. Scala is great because I started as a Java programmer back in over 20 years ago, and and Scala is a combination of functional and object oriented, whatever you want to do with it, right? Haskell is just kind of like. It's like the Japanese is the Japanese of program languages. Like, we're only going to do it this way. Can we take no? We're doing it this way. But what about no? We're going to do it this way. Okay, now obey. But in the end, it works, right? In the end, you can create really, really good zero fault tolerance systems. But yeah, it's not for everybody. So I'm really happy to see this expansion, right? This expansion in the ecosystem about this. And so I'm happy that you're kind of talking about this disconnect, right? Because And I think this disconnect happens, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it happens on all levels, right?
Oh, yeah.
So retail is disconnected from, or corporate disconnected from retail, and then retail is and we're disconnected from retail as an ecosystem. I mean, isn't that correct? And look, you can speak truthfully, this is like, a no bullshit type of platform here. you know what I mean, right? You know what I mean. You have a lot of this stuff in this ecosystem where people are just like, have this completely just a completely non-viable idea about what mass adoption is going to look like.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, kind of maybe you can touch on that a little bit, because I know working in the ecosystem, you come across that a lot. And like, how do you deal with that as somebody who does business development in and out of the ecosystem? How do you get these guys? Because you can't just tell them, shut up, that's how you do business. Well, sometimes you have to, but you really have to kind of get the sentiment on your side, right? So how do you do that? How do you get the sentiment of the ecosystem on your side so that you can go out and do business development in the big, like the adult world, and actually get traction? How do you do that?
Well, it's a thing you're going to always have to be rejigging, because there's never a point where it's like, oh, we're locked in, we're good to go, right? It's a nice little package ready for market. Because the community is always changing. There's always like sentiment shifts, right? Like consumers are changing what they would like to see, right? And businesses, right? Like, do you really want speed? Because I know like there's particular blockchains that are all about speed. But as you were saying earlier, you don't want to have 70% kind of failures. So trying to kind of package it all up, you got to get comfortable with the idea that you're not going to be able to hit every note with everybody all the time. You just got to know your target audience. And so, like, interestingly enough, we're maybe not the best casino out there, right? If you're just talking about like blockchain use cases, yeah, there's casinos. There are certain blockchains that are more casino than others. And we're maybe not the best at that. And perhaps that's all right. So we just kind of know that if we're going to go somewhere, we're maybe not going to put that foot forward. We can certainly do some of that stuff, but there's more going on, right? And this is one of the things that I like to do when I'm talking with any VCs, or if I'm talking to like hedge fund managers, or talking to any like major corporates, I'll normally point them in the direction of tap tools and say, hey, go take a look at like the total market cap, and you'll see right beside the name of these projects what they're doing. You do that on some of the other chains, and it's like meme coin, all the way down. Whereas for us, it's like immediately, it's like deep end infrastructure, AI. There's a whole lot of like real businesses being built here, and it's quite intriguing. Some of the stuff will take time, right? It's not going to be like rolled out tomorrow, because these are like, it's work in progress. It's quite ambitious, but yeah, you just got to like know your audience and be comfortable with saying to some of the bros, like, actually, nah, bro, this is not the best casino for you.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, bro. So that was great, but I need to know, me and Sheldon, me and you have talked a lot, right, throughout the years. Can you tell the people that might not know what has prepared you for all of this, right? What was your past like in Cardano? And then I seen that you were recently in Vietnam, and I want to get into that and see what's all going on over there, because that's really interesting to me.
Did you eat stuff wrapped in grape leaves? A lot of stuff wrapped in grape leaves, huh?
Try to avoid some of that stuff, But yeah, so, well, a bit of background for myself. Yeah, so like, this is kind of like the dream job. A lot of things are kind of coming together, and I'm having a blast with it. But yeah, like I started my professional career out of university in Hong Kong back in 2013. It was a Canadian diplomat there. It's kind of like the first job I had out of university, because that's what I had studied and what I'd done research in. And I happened to be basically the twilight years of the best of Hong Kong. And so I was able to rub shoulders with some super just giga-chad, huge brains guys like Ben Gertzel, David Hansen, obviously, and then Vitalik. The amount of people coming through that city was just ridiculous. And so it was like it's a fairly small world there as well, but it was lovely. So got to meet Vitalik. He pitched me on, imagine Bitcoin, but just with smart contracts. And like, what is a smart contract? And like, went through some various like use cases for what could be done. And yeah, had like a test run in some of the early nodes of what later became like mainnet Ethereum. Yeah, it was just incredible. Hung out, like I was saying, with like David Hansen and Ben Gertzel, because they had a whole longevity lab there. They had a robotics lab. They would go like hiking, and yeah, Ben would kind of go off on all kinds of different ways to extend your life. And so it was very interesting to kind of now look back more than 10 years later and see how things have evolved and where we've gone from there. But yeah, so from that, I didn't go all in on early stage ETH. I should have. I would love to have had a time machine and had more money. I played around with a little bit of it, but at that time, when you're kind of starved for food and you're up 100% on an asset, like, oh hell yeah, I'm selling out.
Yeah, right.
And yeah. Look, I came into ETH when it was like 70 something bucks. And then it made a run to like $170, and I'm just like, screw this, man. It's not going to get too much higher. It's
my first Ethereum buy, $27, and I sold it at $127, and I thought I was a genius.
Yes, that's exactly.
Yeah, you always think you're a genius, doing this. Like I remember the same thing with Litecoin. I bought Litecoin at like $8 or something like that. And when or not even, it was even less than that, like a few bucks. And then when it ran up to something like 20 some bucks, I was like, hey, I'm really good at this. Yeah. Let me buy some of that. Let me buy some of that $2,000 Bitcoin now, and sell it at $4.
Right.
Anyway, but I sold the Bitcoin for Cardano. Okay, I did. I bought Cardano on launch day with I basically had a Bitcoin. It was like $4,600. That bought a Cardano, and then I just said I bought it, and then it was like 2 cents or something, or less than 2 cents, like $1.50. And then a couple of weeks later, it went down to like 1 cent. I'm like, shit, man, this is damn it, Cardano, come on, like do something, Cardano, do something. And as we all know, it did do something.
It did.
So
yeah.
It's and you know what? It's really, I keep talking about this. I talk about this on socials. Like I've been through a bunch of cycles already, right? So I've been like officially in the industry since 2016. Dabbling with it even before that. We got some of these crazy guys out here that've been they've been like just hammering my head with Bitcoin since like 2012 or something like that, like 2013. Like literally just when I moved to Japan. The Kansai Bitcoiners meetup that's been happening for forever. And you know what? You go through these cycles, right? And like what's gonna happen, right? And every time we go through this, like it goes up, and then it dumps, and it feels like the world is over, right? It's over. Let's go home. And then you're like, but it's not though. It's not. We've been here like 4 freaking times already. And after a while, you just kind of just shut up.
You become numb to it.
Like it's too late to sell. Number one, okay, You're not that smart, right? You didn't time the market. Selling it right now is extremely stupid because it's going to go up. Like it always does, and so that's why I'm like I'm looking at this stuff right now, and where some people are like panicking. Oh my god, this is terrible. It's not really terrible at all.
And the funny part is, right, is adoption is happening more now than ever.
That's the thing, that's the thing.
It doesn't take.
We got all this stuff happening in the ecosystem right now. I'm happy because you know what, last time we were, at the peak of the bull market, we didn't have smart contracts. Yes. And now we got all this stuff happening, and I'm happy about it because you still have once in a while, so here and there you got people, kind of trying to like, oh my god, my bags, my beautiful bags. But most of the people are like, yeah, governance, I was like, yeah, deep in, yeah, like Zengate stuff, RWAs. Like there's all this momentum out there where people are just completely distracted from this whole thing. And I was looking for the regular 10,000 tweets about oh my bags, it's over type of stuff. And there's really not much of that out there.
No, well, because we're the ones we've drank the Kool-Aid. We're already kind of like deep down the rabbit hole here. This is like the funny thing is like because like for those of us who are building in it every day, right? Like you see that the momentum is there. It's undeniable. The amount of things being built, deployed, it's getting kind of ridiculous. There's a lot. And even those of us who are in it all day, every day, you still lose track of everything that's going on, right? So if it's hard for us and we're like the DJ's in it 24/7, I got to worry about my aunt who I got to buy. She bought in some like a few months ago. She's panicking. She's sending me like midnight messages last night. Like, is it dying? Is the whole market getting
It's like,
nuked?
okay, just don't look at it. Like, just don't look at it. Okay, it gets
That's
worse
the key.
before it gets better. Just don't look at it. Okay, but then it's gonna get really good. You're gonna be, and I'm gonna be your favorite, and then you're gonna ask me for advice on investments, and then one day I'm gonna be drunk enough to give you one, and then you're gonna break my balls about it forever because at some point it's gonna go down. And you're gonna sell in time. I've been there before. Okay,
Yeah.
I know all about that. That's why I'm just like, all right, you know what? What do you? Hey Dan, what do you think is going to happen with the market? Like, it might go up, and if it doesn't, it might go down, and then if it doesn't, it might go sideways.
That's what I tell everybody.
There's my TA for the market.
Markets go up, markets go down, markets go sideways,
That's
and
what they
you'll
do.
never
That's
know.
what they do. It's like, if you don't like, if you don't like crap in your pants, get out of crypto. No, it's like,
Oh man!
I mean, just don't do it. Don't do it. That's what it is. It's like riding a freaking roller coaster. I mean, in the end, you're going to come back alive, right?
It's to test your blood pressure, Dan.
Yeah, well, most of the time, unless you have a heart condition or, it's a weird roller coaster in Pennsylvania. But anyway, Pittsburgh. Anyway, I tease Brian about being from Pittsburgh because I'm from Philly, and we got this, thing. And anyway, it's
You don't want to know what I call his hometown, right? It's not proper for this show.
Yeah. It's very improper. It's like projecting, but it's probably still improper. But anyway, we're not gonna go there. I got friends in
Our
Pittsburgh.
rivalries mean nothing to these people, Dan.
I got good friends living in Pittsburgh, and I am gonna get them help as soon as data goes back up. Okay, as soon
I want to.
my heart.
I want to know
Yeah,
about
fuck
this
that.
trip that you were just on.
Okay.
Listen. Let's get back to this. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about doing business in Cardano in 2024, because it is different than doing business in Cardano in 2018, 2019, 2020, when I was doing business in Cardano. I mean, I'm still doing business in Cardano, but I'm doing my own business. I'm talking about doing business for the big three. So tell me how it's received, right? You go to a bank, for example, you talk to them about utilizing the technology. You go to like a big conglomerate, right? You go to a government. I mean, how is it perceived? What does the conversation sound like right now? Are they resistant? If they are, what are they resistant to? What are the questions that are being asked? I mean, talk about that a little bit.
Well, yeah. So it's actually interesting that right now, like some of the companies that I talk to, or even like some of the governments, right? They will look at the various like solutions that blockchain can provide to kind of fill in the gaps of the problems that they have in their own business or their own sector of the economy, this or that. But interestingly enough, like the thing that kind of stops them, that kind of gets them a little bit more hesitant, is they want to make sure that if they do make any particular choice, be it the technology or the blockchain, they're going to be able to defend that from their colleagues, right? Like there are some companies that are committed, they want to do something in blockchain, but they don't know which chain to do it with. And so they've all got a bit of like hesitation. You've got like too many choices. And so, it's interesting that some of these guys, they want to be able to get additional details to then kind of be able to move up the chain and show to the president of the company that like, look, if we do talk to these Cardano guys, they're not going to drain our treasury. They're not going to run away. It's a secure thing. It's better than these other chains for this, that, X, Y, and Z. And so like that is one thing. But interestingly enough, like a lot of these guys, like they understand that the hesitation is going to be coming internally, right? Like tech teams are a little bit slow, right? Banks are not known to be the most innovative places. And you might have the board be like, yes, let's get ahead of this and start moving on it. But everybody else down that organization chart is going to be second guessing, right? They drag their feet. It's the same thing with governments, right? Like you could sign a great partnership deal, but is it going to like be tangible? Is this going to turn into something real? you've got to make sure everybody else down that whole hierarchy, that whole chart, is also kind of on the same like wavelength, and that's not always the case. So these things take some time. Humans are complicated, and human organizations are incredibly complicated. So you can't just like sign on a dotted line and expect that, all right, the business is done, let's go, deploying tomorrow.
That's that's an understatement. And again, I've been through it, and it makes great headlines, and it makes great tweets. And back in the day, you used to pump prices, but now it's like one of the promises that we've made as a company to to our community is that we don't do bullshit partnerships.
Yeah.
Our partnerships actually do stuff. And we've been approached by just partnerships, like announcement level partnerships. And in fact, I was approached one time by somebody who was actually selling announcements of partnerships.
Yeah, that's
Like
the thing.
literally,
That's the thing.
I was at one of these events in this one part of the world I'm not going to talk about, so that's not too specific. But and I got approached by a person, by them. I'm not going to be gender specific. That was they're saying, well, we have a service that can basically get you a partnership with, like, say, IBM. Like IBM, like what for what? Oh, it's not really a partnership, but just an announcement that there's a partnership with IBM. Like, how does that work? Well, you pay us money, and then we'll kind of there's some. I still didn't understand how they're going to get that done, but there was some weird ass, like, just scammy way that they were going to make it sound like you have a partnership with that, and it's literally like, so. And then what? And then your token pumps.
Yeah.
And what? Yeah. No, it's going to cost $100,000 if you want to do a partnership with IBM. And then, but the partnership doesn't do anything. No. Okay. And so then what happens? I mean, they're not gonna verify it, but you can put an announcement out, and you're gonna numbers go up. And that's why it's difficult. It is difficult to do business in this ecosystem because of bullshit like this. It's just so, and this is not our ecosystem. This is like just in general, just when you're out there, it's all of it, and in fact, it's more, it's a lot more dominant in, in like the EVM and the ETH ecosystems, and in like the ones that are, that are not boring and nerdy and ghost chainy like us, right? The hip guy, the hip cats, right? We're not the squares like us, man. The cool guys, man. The jocks. The jocks of the blockchain, those guys, like, that's where it happens. And I'm just like, what is this bullshit? Like, what do you mean announce a partnership with IBM? What?
Yeah, well, because these guys, they're not looking to build long-term security and stability, right? And so for them, it's a bit of a race. It's a race to an announcement that can get that additional pump. It's just like a different kind of mindset, right?
It's very unfortunate.
It is not a marathon.
So, okay, so here's my next question. I mean, so I'm not going to be too general with the question here, okay? The intro to the question is, how do we get them to take us more seriously?
Yeah.
Now, more specifically, right? What is our lowest hanging fruit for entry into the mainstream, right? For our entry into mass adoption with Cardano technology, realistically, right? Realistically, from what you've seen out there, what is the one where it's like, it's ready, it's prime, we can just push it over the line, and then we can get adoption here? What is that one or couple of things that really separate us from the rest and really make people want to do business with us long term? Not bullshit partnership announcements, but like actually do stuff with us.
Yeah. Well, so I would say what I'm seeing, like in my own conversations, people are very intrigued by our community, like the length, the breadth, and the depth of the community. The fact that we've got kind of like some, I would dare say, kind of like regional specialties, right? Where we've got like a bit of a deeper understanding of some of the needs and requirements in, say, Southeast Asia or Africa, and increasingly like Latin America. So there's like a regional component to it. But also, like, I got to say, like, you like going back to what I was mentioning before, like where you've got internal resistance in some companies to these things, you've got to find, as you were saying, like the low hanging fruit in a particular organization. It might be a larger organization. So, for example, kind of like talking about something that is applicable for Ermurgo, we've signed a partnership with Huawei. Not everybody loved that. Certainly, I know a lot of Americans have some pretty understandable concerns about that partnership. But that whole angle was to partner up with their cloud services. So you're not working with the head honcho to spy on Americans or anything like that. You're looking to offer them a bit of exposure to this technology and theoretically also offer Cardano projects the opportunity to maybe have their services be housed on a Huawei cloud. They also have a whole incubation program. They've got a whole VC arm. So they actually are very interested in investing in Cardano projects. And so that was a nice vertical, which was just low hanging fruit. Let's have these conversations. And generally, like thinking about, it's maybe not mainstream tomorrow, but once again, like low hanging fruits that will hopefully tangibly get us there mainstream. It's education, right? Like you gotta like be willing to just take some stupid questions, right? Be able to walk into some rooms where like people don't know.
Yeah,
cups are down. So they want to know how you can turn the blockchain off. And like,
yeah, but no, I literally had these questions before. You know, this guy started drilling me about. It's like, look, how are you going to stop me from just you know, trapping the crypto in my wallet? How are you going to stop me? Okay,
Yeah.
How does blockchain stop me from trapping that crypto in my wallet? Like, you do realize it's not like really there. It's still in the blockchain. You just kind of, you know, you just have like the key, like the door is still in the castle. You just have the key to the door in your house. It doesn't mean that the castle is your house. Like but I had these, you know, I had these conversations and with people that I'm coming to talk business about, and they have this like, you know, they lost their, you know, like this one guy that I thought I was going to do business with. Instead, they spent an hour breaking my balls about how, you know, how blockchain is complete bullshit because, you know, one time he lost his keys to his ETH wallet, and now his ETH is locked in that wallet forever. I'm like, well, actually, it's not really in that wallet. It's just you don't have access to it. But it still like lives in the blockchain. It doesn't live in your wallet. It's like it's on my computer. It's like it's not really.
No.
It's not but it is. How are you going to stop it from? How are you going to stop cryptocurrency from being trapped in wallets, like by doing nothing because it's not trapped in wallets. Anyway, you know what? Actually, what I want to do is I want to put up the first comment from Captain Crabmeat. I'd like to actually address that. So Cardano is fantastic, but we will not see progressive development from external businesses until we have overcome the barrier of entry with how complex it is. Now, this is actually something that quite a bit. You know, we talk about that people have this thing where it's like, we need marketing. That's where there's like, we need marketing because people don't understand how cool Ergo is. You know, how we don't understand how, you know, how all these tools are ready and blah, blah, blah. Look, okay, to this kind of so my answer to this kind of narrative is, and this is how I look at it, and this is actually, I put my money where my mouth is, and with Zengate, with Palmyra, and with everything that we're doing, right? You know, I'm not just sitting there, you know, I'm not just like the advisor for the Ergo Foundation and just kind of like sitting there in AMAs and just bullshitting people. I put a bunch of my own money into building on the platform, right? Did the same thing with Cardano, put a bunch of my own money. Well, now, of course, we have investors, but in the beginning, it was my money. And later on, it was my and Sam's money that we put on the line to build a business. And see, the thing about this is that, look, just because a car is complex to put together doesn't mean that you can't find people to drive it. And that's really how you got to think about it, right? So, no, you're not going to get like mom and pop understanding all the intricacies of Cardano, but they don't really need to. What
Yes.
I think mainstream adoption will mean for this technology is when businesses start utilizing the technology to build products that are mainstream viable. Like the mom and dad and grandma and grandpa viable. That's when it's going to happen. That's when that adoption is going to happen. Not if we spend another $10 million in marketing. And that's, like I said, that's that's my outlook on this. I think that we should not think about, Solana is so easy because they got meme coins. Fuck meme coins. I mean, really. I mean, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Okay, it's like you can't have your entire freaking Netflix be all comedy. You need to have like a couple of dramas in there. You need to have a little bit of a few documentaries, or else it just, it can't all be comedies. It can't all be slapstick comedies. The entire film industry can't all be slapstick comedies. So, yeah, I mean, that's how I see it. And I mean, I would like to get your view on this, Brian, as well. What do you think? I mean, and don't rush to agree with me on all.
I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. You know me, Dan.
Yeah. Just. I mean, look, are we kind of a little too nose in the air-ish? And
No,
is it difficult to enter the ecosystem?
I think it's easier to enter the ecosystem now. It's easier to enter the ecosystem now than when I did in 2018, right? When I entered the ecosystem, there was nothing. There wasn't a wallet. There was Deadlist. That's what there was, right? And you could buy your ADA and you could put it in Deadlist, and that was it, right? So then progression happened. And at first, for when smart contracts and that all came out, it was very difficult to build on Cardano. I talk to builders every day. I've hosted a show for 3 years talking to builders in this ecosystem. I know very well the progression of how hard it was to build in this ecosystem to where we are now. And it's like night and day, right?
Yeah.
I've seen developers come and say, man, 2 years ago, you couldn't build nothing on Cardano. Now it's so super simple to go and build, right? So I think this narrative of Cardano is complex is an old narrative, right? And it continues to carry on over and over in time.
And I'll tell you, I mean, look, we've actually been building product for 2 years now, and just really started 2 years ago. And back then, yeah, I mean, I was looking around for Haskell developers.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, I wasn't, I guess, our guys can do Haskell, but do they do Haskell? No, they do Scala, and they do, they do Node and all this stuff, right? So they work with IPFS, they work with, Aiken, anyway, I always mispronounce it, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So look. Okay, and again, Captain Crabmeat, he does have some good points. He really does. I really kind of get where you're coming from. So let's put up the follow up to what I was saying. Your analogy is interesting, but it's not the driver I'm concerned about. Is the number of available mechanics that when there are so few people that understand the engine. So this I think really is a bit outdated. I do think that, because number one, we have a hell of a lot more people that really get what it is. That's number one, right? Number two, there's a lot of different ways of how to utilize. I mean, there really is. It's a lot more robust right now. There's a lot of different ways to utilize Cardano. It's not hard to build on anymore. It's just not. I know this from a business perspective because I'm not really programming on it. I'm paying people to program on it. And I don't have to, like I did 2 years ago, turn over stones and and go to like Pokemon conventions to find myself Haskell developers.
I literally would have people come on Cardano over and coffee and beg me to help them find developers.
It wasn't easy. It wasn't.
I don't have that anymore.
I get where this is coming from. It wasn't easy at all. It was actually really difficult. It was actually really pissing me off because, look, I want to build on Cardano. I mean, I helped launch the goddamn thing. I want to build on it, and it's just like. It's like, yeah, but you know what? I know a Haskell developer, but they've been pulled 17 ways till Sunday, and now they're not available. It's like, oh, for God's sake. But now, like, look, okay, and so the second part of what Captain Crabmeat said is that It's the number of available mechanics when there's few people to understand the engine. Now, okay. Let me put it in a different way here. I see this as an opportunity. And you know why? Because the tech is so strong. The same with Ergo. Like Ergo is actually, just to be honest, Ergo is easier to build on. It is, just because it's got more unified language. Ergo script is, it's a personal preference of mine. Okay, I'm not like, look, I'm not gonna dig to like, I'm just not. Yeah. Anyway, we're not gonna go there. But Cardano is also pretty damn easy to build on right now.
Yeah.
But even though it is not as easy as, say, I don't know, whatever, some other ecosystems that have much, like a lot, more, I don't know, more popular programming languages that are available to them, blah, 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 and there's a reason why you can't really program with every single programming language of tech vectors and things like that you can't really prevent in some languages. But my point here is that, yes, if it is exclusive, but you understand the power of it and you know how to harness the power of it, then you have a goddamn huge advantage. A huge advantage, because you can utilize this, you can utilize the tech, you can build on the tech, and you know what? Your competition is scared because they're scared to allocate resources to it. You already did. You know how to do it. To me, that's an opportunity.
Yeah. Well, so I would jump in, and so kind of going along like the same like analogy of a mechanic, right? Like, so like a Tesla mechanic and an Audi or BMW mechanic, they're not going to be the same, right? These are different types of cars. They've got different types of things. And so it's something similar we've got to maybe think about as an analogy here. And for whatever reason, we're also under the impression that if we're going with the same analogy, right, that businesses are going to want to start to adopt blockchain. They don't necessarily need to have their own individual mechanic in their garage, right? Because you just don't have enough mechanics in the world. But similar to the reality of the world we live in for most other things, you only need a few technical people to kind of really kind of make sure things are running, or if something breaks, they can kind of jump on it. And I say this because, like, when we look ahead to like the ETFs, right? People are getting exposure to blockchain, but they're not really getting in the weeds of it. And it'll be the same thing with other like mass adoption. If we're going on the mainstream, there we go, mainstream, it won't be that we have like massive dedicated huge crypto teams in each and every single company. I think that'll be a bit too much of a stretch. Instead, we'll have a few dedicated individuals who will know who to talk to, and they'll have like a whole kind of like outreach. There'll be a whole other third company that'll be able to assist them on that. Now, I hope that maybe Ermurgo and some of these other companies can assist on that, because a lot of the solutions are going to be ecosystem solutions. But some of the low-hanging fruits here is maybe wallets, right? I think for companies to kind of first like dip their toes and stuff, maybe have a white label wallet, give them a wallet solution to play around with how things actually work, right? They don't need to know every single little thing on how the blockchain works. Start with like the small bites that can be digested.
Yeah. Absolutely. I really think, I really think that the sentiment is changing. I really like that. I really like seeing that. I really see that this, it's not just like we're not trying to imitate, and let's face it, there was a bit of a time in our ecosystems development, and it's okay, it's natural, where we kind of try to like, it's like this thing on ETH, but it's on Cardano now phase, right? And it's okay, because it's about UX familiarity, right? You don't want to create something completely just like bespoke, and people are like, what the hell is this? You want to be like, okay, it's the ... from ETH, but it's on Cardano now. It's like, oh, we got monkey pictures too. It's, we went through that phase, but now we're unique. I have not seen this kind of, say, the governance thing that's happening right now. I have not seen this in other ecosystems. I really haven't. I mean, I've seen some decentralized ecosystems, and this, I mean, even Bitcoin doesn't really have this kind of stuff, it doesn't. This is next level stuff. So I really like the sentiment. I really like it that we're too distracted with all this other, governance and the building stuff to really like my bags, my beautiful bags, I mean, Brian, you don't want Brian to lose any more hair.
It's all gone already.
I mean, come on. It's like the dude looks like he's been on for like 20 bear markets.
It's 3, buddy. Just 3 of them.
Yeah, just 3, but that's enough. That's enough. I mean, it's just like mine is leaving too. So
So what I find interesting on this subject too is, you're right. We saw a lot of things from like EVM chains come to Cardano and it'd be done a little differently. But now you're starting to see a lot of things that are very unique to the extended UTXO model, and it's starting to come out on Cardano. And let's talk about even Bitcoin, right? We have Fluid tokens who developed on Cardano, now over there with one of the first Ruin live dexes on Bitcoin, because Cardano folks know the extended UTX. Our mechanics are branching out.
Yes. Yeah. And we'll be seeing a lot more of that going forward. And that's actually one of the things that is near to my heart and something that I'm pushing Ermurgo forward on as well. So on the one hand, kind of on the EVM and everything else, I want to have like the IBC. So basically the communication relay to allow the various blockchains to better communicate with themselves and each other. So once we kind of get this up and operational, we'll be able to bridge more successfully with some of these other chains. And so that's like a big focus for myself. We've got some really advanced conversations with some other major chains about doing just collaborative work. And so that's quite exciting. But you bring up various other like UTXO and like Bitcoin. So that's going to be, I think, a major focus for us going forward, because Bitcoin's got the liquidity, but they don't always have the tooling, the dApps, now the governance. So there are actually a lot of things that we can now go back to the Bitcoin community with and share. And in return, we have a bit of a super cycle here of business and knowledge. So yeah, we'll be doing more with runes. We'll be doing more just across that ecosystem. So the Fluid guys are wonderful, but even like Marvin and Maestro, they'll be doing more there as well. And it's more. So yeah, it's actually a very, very exciting time.
I know that we're kind of coming to the end here, and I really want to know what's next for Sheldon Hunt and Ermurgo.
What's next? Well, it's a huge one. Well, for myself, the journey continues. So I still do not have a home. I'm always on the road, and so
he's in the forest today, staying in a tent.
Yeah.
So, that forest behind you is beautiful. I just hope it stops raining soon.
I hope so as well. Yeah, it was really nice yesterday, but today not so nice. But yeah, here in Canada for the week, London next week, Hong Kong after that, Singapore after that. So there's conferences, there's events, there's all kinds of these various meetings. So there's a lot to do to kind of wave the flag at Cardano. We've got a bit of catching up to do, and so I'm very keen to get out there and start knocking on some doors.
Well, that's great. That's great. It's I remember when Ermurgo was born. In fact, it was born pretty much. I mean, of course, the idea was there before. Remember when it was still the Cardano Gaming Group, CGG, and it kind of came together at this big table at the share office where the OG Zengate office is, and where the OG Cardano office was, which is the same office. Unfortunately, we're actually out. We're leaving that office at the end of this month, but for good reasons, because we have grown and now we have a bigger office. So. It's a good thing, but it's also kind of a bittersweet thing, because that office served us well, and it was really, it really does have really good mojo. It does have that kind of. We were able to bring the magic back, and so I'm happy to be able to be there. But going to that table, I remember this. Right? I remember the conversation, because we're all sitting at the share space, that's next door, like on the same floor. The office, so it's like the whole floor is a share space, right? And it has individual offices that you can rent with, which is what we did. It also has, cubicles you can rent. You can also just go into the big share space and just kind of work at a table. So it was at that table. And I remember when it was, Charles was there and everybody was there, and our Japanese counterparts were there, and we're talking about how Ermurgo was going to do this and that. And the Ermurgo office is going to be here and there, and when it was still in Roppongi, I remember that first Ermurgo office in Roppongi as well. I went there. It had a really, really nice like foyer. And then it was like had like it was like beautiful reception area, tiny room behind it. Like just you go in there, okay, guys, do stuff in there. Oh, but welcome to your beautiful couches. Like, oh no, it's free. It's a very area place. And I'm really glad to see that Ermurgo has really stepped up. You know, they got people like you, Sheldon, working at Ermurgo that are stepping up their new business, and this is important. And this is actually very important for other entities coming up in this ecosystem. Understand the ecosystem, for shit's sake.
Yeah.
Because we did have that, and still in a way do have that sometimes in the ecosystem. Some of the entities in the ecosystem that are doing business in the ecosystem don't know the ecosystem. So how are you going to do business here? You know, I see you on socials all the time. You know, I see you participating. That's good because you understand the community. Because if you're not there participating in the community, you cannot honestly say that you know what the community is going to need.
Yeah. Well, thank you for those kind words, because I absolutely agree with you, like 100%. There are some gaps in kind of understanding, certainly on the community side of things, from some of the founding entities and even intersect these days. It's going to be an ongoing issue that needs to be kind of rectified. There's already a lot that they need to worry about in their day-to-day job, but they do need to spend some of the time to kind of go out there and talk to people and stay up on the latest developments, because like we were talking about at the start of this, right? Our industry, our sector, our whole ecosystem, it moves fast. There's a lot going on. And to be out of step for extended periods of time, you are just off in the fields. You might as well not be there at all. So got to get there.
I've taken and didn't know where I was at when I came back.
Yeah.
So I think
go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I just kind of want to wrap this up. We've kind of come to the end here, but I just want to thank Sheldon, Dan. Obviously, I know it's late for you, but we got other things to attend to. So you can't go to sleep yet.
Right after this, and we got another. You know, we're you know the circus just keeps on moving. We're going to the next town.
Yeah, we're gonna be on a Twitter space with Minutes Network here, Sheldon. But can you tell us anything that you just want to let the people know? What they should expect from Ermurgo, and just kind of wrap it up for us.
Yeah, well, Brian, Dan, thank you, gentlemen, very much for having me here on the mainstream. It's been a privilege and an honor. Hope to come back again. And like I was saying, this is only like my first month here at Ermurgo, so you'll have to kind of, mind the mess, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot of things to be excited about. So hopefully get to see many of you guys later in the year, maybe in Las Vegas or
definitely in Las Vegas.
That's be in Vegas.
So,
definitely in Vegas.
Well,
listen, like I said, it's very, very nice to have somebody like you, doing what you're doing at Ermurgo. Gives me a lot of hope, gives the community a lot of hope. Thank you so much for coming on the mainstream.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
We're going mainstream, baby.
Yeah, we are. We definitely are. We're going there. We're going to go there. All right, we're gonna go there.
We'll go there. Well, thank you again, guys. Thank you, and thanks to everybody who's tuning in.
Yeah.
Don't forget to follow. There. Yeah.
That's it.
I can never get this right. No, it's that way. Follow Sheldon there. Okay. Anyway, you can see it. Follow Sheldon on Twitter. He. Like I said, he's in the community. You can talk to him. He's a real person. He is Canadian, but we forgive him for that. It's almost as bad as being from Pittsburgh, but not quite.
Well,
actually, I don't know. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, thanks for coming on the show. All right, guys. You know what? We have to wrap it up. But thanks everybody for joining. Thanks for joining the mainstream. And you know what's going to happen next week sometime, same place, same channel?
The mainstream.
That's right. More mainstream. All right. Until then, this is Dan coming to you live from okay. Until then, this is take two. Until then, this is Dan coming to you live from Japan, signing off.